So whenever you're ready, we're going to start off in square pose. We're going to guide the left leg gently up. We're going to draw the right leg slightly under, and we rest the left leg down on top of the right shin. So when both shins are stacked, we don't need to be perfect in yin. We're thinking more about where your body naturally falls and lies. That's your perfect version of this pose. If we're practicing more of a yang or an iyengar, there would be a perfect aesthetic to this pose. In yin, it's more when we feel it in the right place, that's your perfect version. So we have our left shin on top, right shin underneath. We don't want to feel any pinching or any tingling here, but we do want to allow a surrendering and a heaviness of the hips. So we allow the pelvis to sink here. We allow the legs to become slightly relaxed, so the muscles disengage. The feet, rather than being perfectly dorsiflexed, they soften and become neutralized. And we allow the body to be relatively tall and straight. So for every yin element and pose, there's often yang elements included too. So we might incorporate a small lift or an engagement of the pelvic floor and of the core. We keep that same alignment of the spine here, so we're not sinking forwards just yet. Inhale here. Often the mind will want to wander away from the sensations that you're feeling, away from the silence of yin, and away from the stillness of your pose. So we instead guide our full awareness towards the sensations you feel, towards your natural breath, and whether there's any correlation between the sensations ebbing and flowing as your breath comes in and out. In yin, we don't take any specific pranayama or breath technique, but we do allow our natural breath to be full and nourishing. So we're making sure we're not taking any shallow chest breaths or over inhaling here. Often if you do find the sensation of discomfort arising, if we then scan the body, you might find areas switched on, such as the gluteals trying to fight against gravity. Maybe the thighs switched on. So we just allow them to release down, surrender with gravity. We're here for 10 more breaths. Allow them to be full, and allow each breath to be within the front focus of your mind. So whenever the mind wanders, we use that breath as an anchor to guide it back. If you're working with a mantra today, to realign you with your intention when your mind wanders, feel free to draw back towards your mantra for a few breaths before you return to your breath itself. Your intention could be to face your body with ahimsa, non-harm, to approach your self-talk from a place of compassion and ahimsa. Your intention could be to spend some quality time with yourself, simply watching the mind as opposed to engaging with the mind. And often in yoga we view the self as the one who watches the mind as opposed to the thoughts. We're going to switch over our legs. So we send one leg to the base and one leg gently on top. And if it feels more natural to keep one leg out long, that is absolutely fine. We allow ourselves time to switch over and allow yourself to close down the eyes, relax down the jaw, and release away tension from the shoulders, the hips and the legs. Allow everything to become soft. Including the forehead, the jaw, and the eyes. When we close down the eyes, it can be tempting to dart the eyeballs themselves around. So in an attempt to not overstimulate the brain, not signal to the mind that there's something that needs your attention, we still the drishti as well, even if the eyes are closed down. Allow the breath to be the only movement through your body. You can use a gentle lift in the pelvic floor and in the navel to create that slight widening of the diaphragm, heightening of the chest, so that your expansion of your breath fills the upper part of your torso as opposed to the deep belly ballooning breaths that we might be used to in yoga. However, if you feel more comfortable taking these belly breaths, they are also absolutely fine, as long as you can keep your spine upright and feel supported and tall here. We're here for 3 more breaths. Before we start to move slowly. So we're going to send ourselves just into a pause. So we're going to send those legs out in front and just gently release yourself back so you can support your upper body. Just allow the legs to be completely still. So in yin, when we release from a pose, it's very tempting to jiggle the legs, bump them up and down. But rather than this, rather than engaging the muscles, we think about keeping a softness in the legs. We keep that stillness in our counter poses and our rebound poses, just as we do in the pose or the asana itself. And this is coming from the yogic theory that throughout our body we have meridians or lines, each that relate to specific chakras, specific internal organs, specific functions. And sometimes these can become blocked in everyday life. So when we compress and stress gently in a controlled way in yin poses and then release, there is an influx of chi through the body. And as this influx of chi runs through, you'll feel this lovely sensation through the legs in some poses, not all of them, depending on your body. And as it does so, it clears out any old tensions, blockages, allowing you to release any stagnant energy. So, when we're ready, we guide the knees up into a soft bend and we guide the legs slightly wide. We're going to draw the fleshier parts of the buttocks behind and to the side so that your 2 sit bones connect to the floor. We then send the legs one by one, slowly out, altering as you go. So your legs can be slightly closer towards one another, slightly further away. They don't have to be as far as you can go. Instead, we'd like them to be in a comfortable place. Plant your hands towards the ground, open your shoulders, and just breathe here for a moment. So in Yang, we would have our feet flexed, our knees bent, and our spine would be perfectly straight, and we would hinge from the hips. In Yin, we think a little bit more about softening down. So the feet are relaxed, the knees are relaxed. If you do need a prop to bring the floor up towards you, you can use a book or a block or a blanket underneath your knees. And rather than keeping the spine perfectly aligned, we do hinge from the hips, but we also soften the heart space in a gentle flexion, like so. So every neck is going to be different here. You might need to engage your neck. You might need to use the engagement of the arms as well to keep yourself upright, depending on your body, your physical body. Either way, it's absolutely fine. We can allow these Yang elements, such as engagement of the back of the neck, engagement of the arms, to keep you from completely surrendering alongside gravity if that's not comfortable for you. In Yin, we focus on finding something called your edge. So this is the point where you can feel the intensity ebb and flow. The sensations are strong and not so strong that it's completely distracting or unbearable, but just strong enough so that you can breathe through, nourish the sensations that arise, allow them to dissipate slightly until they rise again. And we just sit with those sensations until everything becomes calm and quiet. We never sit through pain. We always allow ourselves permission to alter the movement if that's what's necessary, or release the movement away if that's what's necessary. We allow this softening forwards and down. And the reason we commit to stillness in our Yin pose is because we're targeting the connective tissues, the tendons, ligaments, joints, bones, the fascia, all of which respond to stillness, coolness. So we're not trying to heat up the body and move a lot. And when the joints are in this vulnerable position, we don't want to be moving around. So as long as we're controlled, still, safe and relaxed, you'll begin to deepen alongside gravity. In Yin, we tend not to use too many props. That would be moving more towards a restorative practice as opposed to Yin yoga. Because we think about just the body, the floor, and gravity. Wherever your body falls is your perfect version of this Yin pose. However, in ones where you do feel pain and a prop will take that pain away, such as underneath the knees, then that's absolutely fine. We're here in this pose for 3 more breaths. Often when we're in a slightly more introspective position with the face shining down, the heart space closed off, the mind might wander at a slightly slower pace, giving you the opportunity to observe the mind where you're at, observe emotions that come attached to each individual thought. When you're ready, as slowly as we can, we begin to ease our way out of that posture, making your way slowly up. And we're going to draw the legs till they come around hip distance apart. So take your time here. We don't need to come straight into the position. If you do want to lean back as we did before, then feel free to come back into a slight lean back position, or you can lay completely down if you prefer. We just want to give the legs and the hips a moment. Well done. Inhale. Feel free to close down the eyes. Often yin is a lovely opportunity to observe whether your mind spends more time in the past or in the future. It's quite rare in everyday life for your mind to be present a lot of the time. So often in our physical practices, especially yoga, there's that strong focus on being completely present, connecting to the body, connecting to your breath, and allowing both the mind, body to connect to the breath, uniting and aligning all these aspects of yourself. So that's what we're going to focus on in this next posture, being completely present where possible. So we want the legs to be hip distance apart, so just pop your fist in between your knees. And we ideally want the feet to be relaxed, neutral. We're going to draw the right leg up towards your body, keeping in line with your hip. So this is one option. Option 2, we plant that leg over. Option 3, we guide that leg all the way over. So when we have our right leg over the left leg, we're going to be drawing our heart space to the left side of the room. So whenever you're ready, we inhale nice and tall and gently rotate to one side. That left arm can be behind you or it can be on your foot. We're not taking a deep, deep twist here. We're not thinking about opening as we would in yang. We're not engaging by pressing in to the leg at all. Instead, we're just opening the back side of the shoulder, maybe sending the drishti very slightly over that back left shoulder. And breathing here. So the reason we'd like to stay nice and present in all postures, but twists especially, is as in yoga we believe tension stored within the body originated within the mind a lot of the time. So as we release these tensions back out of the body through a twist, through a stretch, they're going to float back in. That's why a lot of the thoughts that float in during yoga seem quite random, possibly from the past, possibly hypothetical. Sometimes they're of our to-do list today or revising your day so far, but often they can be quite random. The hips especially store emotions, memories, these kinds of tensions. And twisting poses, you can visualize rinsing out a flannel. They're supposed to be quite good for releasing any of these tensions from your mid-spine or your mid-body. So as they arise, rather than allowing yourself to think the thought, we just observe the thought, as if we're watching our stream of consciousness as an outsider. This allows us to witness the mind while staying present. When you're ready, we exhale those thoughts away and return to the aligning of the body, the breath, in the present moment. You can either just use the body and the breath synchronizing as your anchor to the present, or you can return to your mantra before returning to the breath. Whenever you're ready, we slowly lift and come all the way back through center. Allow yourself as much time here as you need. However, if you feel more comfortable, we're going to come all the way onto the other side. So we can either come into our twist like so, or we can guide that leg into shoelace or Gomukhasana and come into your pose like so. That arm can be behind you, resting on the ground, or it can be on that foot. In Yin, we're not thinking about placing it across the span of the lower back because we do want a little bit more heaviness, a bit more relax and reliance and surrender into the ground, as opposed to that real strong lift and activation that you might be going for in Yang, where we'd cross that arm across the back. Allow a softening down of the base body. Allow a deepening of your breath. And allow yourself to continually return to the silence of the present moment whenever the mind starts to wander. We're here for one more breath. Before we gently make our way back to center. Well done. So we're going to take our last seated Yin pose by guiding the legs into Baddha, and we can rest the arms down just out in front. Allow yourself to think about a melting forwards of the heart space. Knees full wide. We're not pressing into the inner legs here, we're just allowing a softening down. And as we allow that softening down and surrender through the hips, through the heart space and the upper body, allow yourself to consider, as before, the neck. If the neck is comfortable, relaxing and releasing forwards, then allow yourself to continually melt down through the heart space. If you do need that gentle engagement, lengthening of the neck, then we keep that lift to make sure that the back of the neck is comfortable. And when you find your version of this pose, you commit to stillness. Observe when the mind wanders, where it's wandered to. And as we keep returning to the stillness of the body, we allow the mind to remain still also. When we allow these slow breaths, still body, often the silence of the mind comes eventually. Some days it won't arrive, but most days it makes it a lot easier for the mind to reach that place of peacefulness when the body surrenders down, when the breath remains slow, full, and controlled, and when we continually allow ourselves to observe when the mind's wandered and just return to stillness of the presence. Whenever you're ready, we allow ourselves to come up slowly, nice and tall. We're going to make our way onto our front for our last yin posture of today before we flow into a little bit more yang. This pose, we're thinking about lowering down slowly. Both legs are a hip distance apart, so the knees would fit nice and snug between, a fist would fit nice and snug between the knees. We want our wrists either palms down, shoulder distance apart wrists, elbows directly underneath the shoulders, or you might choose to take those elbows out a little bit more in front if you do find that full sphinx is a little bit too intense on the lower spine. Another way that we can lengthen the lower back is by sending the tailbone slightly away from you, engaging the gluteals, pressing the pelvis down, and slightly lifting the abdominals here. So as before, we have these yin and yang elements in this pose, and we draw upon them when we'd like to make the position a little bit less uncomfortable, a little bit more supported. Inhale deeply. Wherever we're at, whether the arms are gently out in front or directly underneath you, you can also have your arms in Anjali Mudra, where the palms press together. Allow yourself to ensure that your drishti softens or closes down. Your jaw becomes relaxed. Allow yourself for this last 30 seconds or so in Sphinx to consider moving into Seal if you feel comfortable to. This is where we press into the palms, allow this gentle elevation of the upper body, and we continue to relax the lower body down so we don't have engagement through the legs. We might have a subtle engagement through the gluteals where we shine the tailbone away from your body here. And when you're ready, soften everything down. We stack the palms, rest your forehead down on the palms, and we're going to send your right leg out to the right side of the room, like so. This allows this gentle release and relax through the hips, through the lower back, allow yourself to become as heavy as you can here. Whenever you're ready, We swap sides, so we guide the left leg out towards the left side of the room. Allow that same release and surrender through the lower back, through the hips, and whenever you're ready, we guide the legs to align with the hip points. The arms come directly underneath your shoulders, elbows cinch down towards the waist. Allow the back of your neck to be long. Gluteals engage, abdominals lift away from the floor, and we inhale, lift gently up into a rise of the chest. Exhale down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. If you feel more comfortable, you can send your arms behind you. Legs come to a lift. The big toes can come together. Inhale, Salabhasana. Exhale, lower. Legs stay lifted in Salabhasana. We envision someone is gently lifting your fingertips back, your crown forwards, your toes back. We aim for the longest version of this pose that you can. And when you're ready, arms come down, toes tuck, and we press into a plank. Send your hips up and back and come into downwards dog. So in your downwards dog, we want to think about pressing the ground away. So we spread the fingers as wide as you can and press down into the index finger and thumb. Press into every single fingertip, every single knuckle. The shoulder blades themselves guide down the back, slightly wide. The shoulders themselves are plugged into the ball and socket joint, and they're away from the shoulders, so they're not guiding wide, they're in and down and away from your ears. We're not going to worry today about the heels touching the floor. Instead, we're going to think about creating the straightest version of your spine that you can in this position. So feel free to bend the knees if you do feel there is any bend forwards in the lower back or the upper back. And as we do this, we tuck the ribs towards the spine, keep those shoulder blades guiding down towards the waist. Envision someone is pulling your hip creases up towards the wall behind you. And we allow this gentle opposite direction energy. So from the inner elbow creases, we're trying to shine them forwards, as if someone is taking the inside of your arm and gently guiding it forwards. We do this all the while keeping the hands perfectly still. We want this alternate energy for your legs. So we think about someone taking the thighs and gently guiding them towards the back of the room. So another way to explain that would be the outer knife edge of your foot from the little toe all the way down to the outer heel is trying to become parallel with the width of your mat. As if your big toes are trying to reach in towards one another and shine in towards one another. But we do this without moving the feet. Once we've got this energy of pressing the ground away, gently outwardsly rotating the arms, inwardsly rotating the legs, you'll find a lovely, strong, energizing downwards dog. And it's for this reason that it's referred to as a restorative posture or a resting pose, not because we can relax down, but because it fills the body with energy whilst we're completely still. So there's this prana going through your body. You've got energy going in opposing directions. So when we come out of this pose now, we're going to walk the feet up towards the hands, and we'll hopefully feel lovely and energized. So we're going to rest the upper body down on top of the thighs, release forwards and down, inhale, and allow yourself to breathe here. We think again about someone lifting your hip creases gently up towards the sky. We think on the exhales about you melting the heart space forwards and down. Deepen the bend in the knees and roll up your spine. As you roll up the spine, we take a step forwards with the feet until you're close to the front of your mat. And we're just going to stand in Tadasana here. So in Tadasana, the palms shine forwards. The elbows are gently bent. Back of the neck is long, and we inhale, breathe here. Allow the big toes to stay together. The ankles are slightly parted. Toes are spread wide for a nice grip of the floor. And with that soft bend in the knees, we're going to power up. So the arms come forwards and we lift, send the arms up, send the legs up, inhale, turn your palms out, melt all the way down and frame your 2 feet. Exhale. Inhale, lift up into your flat back position. Exhale, melt back down into your Uttanasana position. We're going to lift the left leg here and step it back. On an inhale, open your chest. Exhale, drop the back knee, top of the back foot, and exhale, melt everything through Balasana. Lovely, well done. Inhale up to tabletop, tuck the toes and send it up to downwards dog. From here you have the option to walk both legs one by one, or lift your left leg and send it through into your lunge. Find energy from that back leg to gently jump you up and power you up to a stand. Again, inhale, arms lift. Exhale, frame the feet as you fold forwards on the out breath. Inhale, power up to flat back. Your spine's parallel to the sky. Exhale, melt forwards. And this time we send the right leg back into your lunge. Open the chest, nice strong straight spine. Drop that back knee, top of the back foot. Inhale up to tabletop, tuck your toes, exhale, lift, downwards dog. Either walk both legs or just the right leg hops through. Energy from the back leg to step you up and roll you up. Inhale, lift your arms. Exhale, melt forwards and down. Inhale up to your flat back. Exhale, melt forwards and down. Left leg sends back. Open your chest. Drop the back knee, top of the back foot. Well done. Melt through Balasana. Inhale up to tabletop, tuck your toes and lift. Lift your left leg and step it through. Jump your back leg all the way up. Roll up, last one, inhale. Exhale, melt forwards and down. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, melt down. Step the right leg back, open your chest. Drop the back knee, top of the back foot. Exhale, everything melts through. Inhale up, tuck your toes and lift. Guide your right leg to a lift. And through. Lovely. Inhale as you roll up. Well done. Open your palms forwards. So I'm just going to move you back very slightly. just so you can see a little bit more of this next part. So we're standing again at the front of your mat. Sorry. As we're standing at the front of the mat, we're thinking about tucking the tailbone down, shining your palms forwards. We're going to keep that tailbone tucked down, keep your abs lifted, and send yourself gently back into Utkatasana, chair pose. Your hands can be in Anjali Mudra, prayer pose, right in front of your heart space. Thumbs pressing into your sternum, shoulder blades retract back and down. We lift your pelvic floor. Inhale here. Whenever you're ready, lift your right leg, lift your left leg. We're going to do this 3 times. Lift the other leg, lower. Lift the other leg, lower. Next time we lift, we're going to lift the left leg, send it back into a lunge, and open your chest. Inhale here. When you're ready, we're going to take a stability lunge. Inhale down, exhale lift. Inhale lower, exhale lift. Last one, inhale lower, exhale lift. Well done. Before we gently pivot on that back leg, send your arms out wide. So your right heel is shining through your left leg's arch, and your drishti guides towards your right middle finger. Inhale deeply here. Envision someone is pulling your middle fingers in opposing directions, one to the front of the room, one to the back of the room. Your spine is straight, so we don't have a leaning forwards here. We have a stacking of the pelvis, the heart space, and the crown. Your chin tucks down, pelvic floor is lifted. Inhale. Hopefully you start to feel a little switching on of that right thigh. Inhale deeply. And whenever you're ready, we gently rotate into a high lunge, keeping yourself nice and tall here. And we're going to send it forwards into Warrior 3. So this is a hover. In Warrior 3, I'll give you a quick demonstration. You can have your arms out in front or behind. So Warrior 3 with your arms out in front would be like so. With your arms behind would be like so. Inhale here for 2 breaths. Before planting that back leg down and opening into Warrior 1. Warrior 1, we have the 2 legs aligned with your hip points. The back leg is on a 45-degree angle outwards. So it's not 90 degrees. It's not perfectly forward facing. It's right in between. So that knife edge is 45 degrees. Arms plug in and shine up. Inhale here. Whenever you're ready, arms melt all the way down behind you. We open the chest and melt forwards. Inhale deeply. Power all the way up. And arms come into Anjali Mudra by the heart space. Step it into Utkatasana. Toes are spread wide, ankles are slightly parted, and the thighs are pressing in towards one another. as much as you feel comfortable to. Inhale. Step the right leg back whenever you're ready. Good job. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Last one. Inhale, lift. And that back leg gently swivels until we're in our warrior two. So we want to visualize someone is pulling your hand back, pulling your arm forwards, and our drishti rests on that middle left finger. The back of the neck is a long line from your tailbone to the top of your back of your neck, meaning we're not looking back, not hanging forwards or to the side. The back of the neck is long and our chin tucks down. Inhale, gently swivel into your forward facing lunge. Lovely, and we send it into warrior three. So we hover onto that onto that front leg, arms come behind, soft bend in your standing leg, and we hinge forwards with the hips. So this is a balanced pose. Take your time here because it can be quite challenging to get the body parallel to the floor. We take our time. You might be here today, and that is absolutely fine. We aim to have the hips squared off and a soft bend here before we think about getting that body completely parallel to the floor. Whenever you're ready, we're going to step it into warrior one. So your legs are on two train tracks. Both legs align with your hip points. We bend into that front leg. You can have your legs around a leg's distance away from one another. Hinge until the hips both face forwards. Tailbone tucks, ribs tuck, arms are forwards. Plug your shoulders in. Send them up towards the sky. Inhale here. We think about pressing the legs away from one another, from the knife edge of the right foot and the four corners of the left. When you're ready, arms interlace behind your back and we melt forwards, keeping that same energy between the feet. And now it's up to you whether you come into a lifted humble warrior with the arms or resting down humble warrior with the arms. Whenever you're ready, we frame that front leg, send your right leg back, open your chest. Lovely, inhale. Drop the back knee, top of the back foot, and maybe we lift into a subtle chest raise. So if you do feel comfortable to come up with the chest here, then we draw our drishti nice and heavy, our body nice and still, pelvic floor lifts, and both legs are perfectly aligned with your hip points. If this is not very comfortable, then we gently come forwards and lift that back leg so we have the support of the arms, but we're not putting any pressure on the tendon that runs through the patella of the back leg, because often for some people this will be an issue. Inhale deeply here. We tuck the back leg and lift. We're going to swivel the legs into Prasarita Padottanasana. So we're going to think about the toes facing in, the heels facing slightly out, and we are hinging from the hips. And as we hinge, we're keeping the hips forward, keeping the knees bent. Now you might find that the arms can touch the ground, or you might find it more comfortable to place the hands on the shins today, or the quads, as long as we're bending nicely through the knees. We don't place any pressure onto the front of the knee. If your hands do reach the ground and we can keep that lovely straight alignment through the vertebrae, feel free to begin to walk your hands through your Prasarita Padottanasana. So this would mean we face the fingers towards the back of the room where the heels are shining and we walk them through. We don't place our head down today. We're thinking about keeping as much activation through the body as possible, so we're not releasing the head down to the ground. We're instead thinking about the pressure between the two knife edge, the length of the spine. Whenever you're ready, we walk up nice and tall. Inhale. And we're going to make our way into our lovely low lunge on the other side. So we lower down and come all the way into our low lunge. And if you feel more familiar or comfortable, then you can lift here. Allow yourself whichever version you choose to take to ensure it's comfortable on that back leg. Opening your breath, opening your chest. Inhale here. And whenever you're ready, we're sinking all the way back and down Tadasana. Whenever you're ready, we peel up out of our Tadasana and we're just going to tuck the toes underneath the body. So if you do have any issues with the knees, feel free to skip this one and stay in Tadasana, or grab some blankets if that's also comfortable. We're going to take some gentle shoulder circles. So we start by guiding your arms forwards, plugging them in, and guiding the fingertips up towards the sky. I'm going to allow subtle rotation through the arms here. So we're thinking about drawing opposing circles if you can, which will be opening the chest to one side, coming all the way down, and then gently rotating through to the other and up. You might use this opportunity when you're lifted to travel through in the opposing direction with each arm. So you might continually windmill through one side and then the other. If that's a little bit much for your coordination, which it can be a little bit much to get used to, then feel free to either just do forward circles, just do backward circles, or just do the shoulders for now. Wherever we're at, we're here for 2 deep breaths. Well done. Before we gently send the arms forwards, untuck the toes, and this time we melt into Tadasana with the arms out in front. Brilliant job. Shifting up into any comfortable position so that you can make your way onto your back slowly, slowly in your own time. So as you roll all the way back and down, connecting the vertebrae to the floor, pressing the abs gently to the vertebrae, we inhale here. Guide your arms either to face out or to rest on your belly. We're coming into Supta Baddha Konasana in a dynamic way. So thinking about lifting the pelvic floor, lifting your core, and inhaling, dropping your knees wide and away. Exhale back together. Inhale, draw the knees away from one another. Exhale back together. As you gently float through these 2 movements, drawing the legs wide and together, we're completely guided by the breath. And when we allow each breath to embody, or to be embodied within your movement, within your body itself, You're signaling to your body, to your mind, to your parasympathetic nervous system that it's safe to begin to unwind, restore. Often in everyday life, the breath will just be trying to catch up with our body's movements, which can lead to just shallow chest breathing or over inhalation, which can lead to higher levels of cortisol and the body thinking that we need to be in fight or flight mode. So this allows you to go into your day in that rest and restore, rest and digest version of yourself in a nice relaxed state. Last breath here. Before we guide the arms wide, they don't have to be all the way out towards the side. You can listen to your shoulders here. We're going to draw both legs in the same direction. So we exhale both to the left, inhale center. Exhale both to the right. Inhale center. Allow yourself to float slowly, mindfully. Listening to the feedback of your body, whether you feel more comfortable drawing the legs down and away or to the side, whether you feel more comfortable guiding that length into your body, so you're at a nice diagonal angle, or whether you feel more comfortable just drawing little movements, maybe a subtle movement to one side, a subtle movement to the other side. And as we allow our body to gently fall alongside the breath, we're going to guide our forefront of our awareness back towards our mantra from the start of the session. As you inhale here, allow yourself to visualize breathing in that mantra. And as you exhale, releasing away any tensions, resistance, blockages that stop you from fully absorbing your mantra, from seeing through the perception of your positive reaffirmation. Last 2 breaths here. Before we hug both legs in towards the chest, draw them in. We can guide the legs slightly wide and take the hands to the inner ankles, or you can stay with the legs pressed in towards your chest, whichever feels best for you. If we do have the hands on the inner ankles, we're aiming for the knees to come towards your body and in, as opposed to just splaying them as wide as you can. We're thinking about that gentle lifting energy towards you. Inhale deeply here. Dorsiflex the feet. Press the ceiling away when you're ready, coming up into Viparita Karani. Relax down the forehead. Interlace behind the back of the left leg, draw up the right leg. We want both legs and both hips to be aligned with the shoulders here, so we're not thinking about that leg crossing over the body or that leg coming in. We're thinking about both legs staying completely aligned with hips. The hips not coming into a gentle twist here. We're thinking about both hips aligned with the shoulders. We interlace behind the thigh or the calf, but not the knee if possible. You can also hook the biggest toe if you're more familiar. Tadasana is translating to hand to big toe. So as you swap over onto your other side now, allow yourself to play around with that gentle intensifying of your movement. Observe where you feel it, and that's only if you feel comfortable to intensify the movement. And whenever you're ready, we drop that leg down and rest in your comfortable Savasana position. Allow a softening of your forehead, your jaw, allow everything to melt down. Guide your full awareness to the sensation of your heartbeat within your chest. And as you rest here in Savasana, allowing the palms to possibly shine up or rest on your body, allowing the legs to fall out wherever they like, allowing the back body to sink into the floor below you, we return to our yin elements as we did at the start of the session, allowing the whole body to disengage, the gluteals, the hamstrings, any areas of your body that is fighting against gravity to hold you up that little bit taller. We allow our body permission to just rest down here. We do the same for our breath, and the same for our mind. Allow ourselves permission to do absolutely nothing for this 5 minutes of asana. Often we feel compelled to respond to whatever the mind draws up, floats into your consciousness. Rather than thinking the thoughts that float in, we just watch them. Watch the speed in which they arrive and float away. There's 3 visualizations that you can choose from. One would be visualizing a blue sky. Each thought that floats in is a cloud. Another could be a body of water. Each thought that drops in is a droplet of water, but rather than rippling out into conversation, the water remains still, absorbs the thought. And lastly, you can visualize a body of water and driftwood passing by. We're going to practice this mind observation technique for 1 minute. Using one of these visualizations. We're coming to the end of your mind observation. allow your full awareness to be guided towards your heartbeat within your chest center. As you observe this heartbeat overflowing through your shoulders, down the arms and into the palms, overflowing through the belly, through the pelvis and into the legs, overflowing up through the neck and into the head. With every beat of the heart, allow yourself in your mind's eye to repeat one syllable of your mantra. If your mantra is quite long, feel free to just choose a couple of keywords, such as I am love, I am love. And as you repeat this within your mind's eye, and allow your body to be moved by your heartbeat, we practice our full focus, our single pointed focus, being on that mantra repetition alongside your heartbeat. If your mind starts to wander away, allow yourself to gently guide it back towards that gentle mantra repetition alongside the heartbeat that fills the body. The heartbeat that fills the right foot, the left foot, the right leg, the left leg, the pelvis, the belly, the diaphragm, the chest, the right shoulder, the left shoulder, the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, the right hand, the left hand, the right fingers, the left fingers, the right side of the neck, the left side of the neck, the whole head, and the forehead. Breathe your mantra in towards your forehead, where you feel this lovely pulsating of the heartbeat. Whenever you're ready, allow yourself to invite movement into your body, into your fingers and your toes. Make your way onto your right hand side. Allow yourself to come up into a comfortable seat whenever you're ready. Guide the hands into Anjali Mudra. Namaste.